Hi folks, hey, I'm Scott DiPaolo. I'm the head wrangler and ranch manager out here at Butte Creek Scout Ranch, and we're getting all set up for ranch camp. The first ranch camp of all time, and we're so excited to be running this because we've dreamed about this for years, and we're excited to have you out here, and it's just around the corner. So we're going to make you a little video here, and we're going to answer some questions that'll help you be more prepared for your week out here at Butte Creek Scout Ranch for ranch camp, or sometimes we call it cowboy camp. Either way, you're going to learn a ton, have a lot of riding to do, go on some overnighters, get a chance to learn every day about horsemanship. You're going to get your own horse, and it's going to be nothing but fun. So get ready and get packed up, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Let me answer some questions for you and get you a little bit better prepared. So by now you should have gotten an email with an attachment in it that has a participant's guide that'll really help you know what to bring to camp and some of the details, like when you should come out and check in, about how to get here. There's probably a little map in there. There's a list of all the things you ought to think about bringing. But don't forget, Boy Scout motto, be prepared. You want to think through the things that you know you should be bringing on your outings. Your 10 essentials, for instance, and some of the things that you've learned in Scouts that you should have with you on every camp out. The other thing that participant's guide is going to talk a little bit about is about the times for your parents to be here for the Shodio on Saturday afternoon, which we're going to do so you can highlight for your parents some of the things that you've learned throughout the week. There's going to be a little official horse ranch camp participants order list that'll have shirts in it, long sleeve and short sleeve. So if you want one of those, they're way totally cool. Wish I had one to show you right now. Custom belt buckle, maybe a belt like the one I'm wearing right here that you can choose in the trading post to buy, and things like that. So your participants packet should answer a lot of questions that you have about ranch camp out here at Butte Creek. But if you didn't get an email with that participants packet in it, you need to call Jeanette Leach at the Scout Service Center at 503-226-3423 and get her to send you your packet to a good email for you. And like they always tell me when I tell them I didn't get the email, you might want to check your spam. So here are a number of random questions that come up that people have been asking, and they're in no particular order, but I think they're going to answer some of your questions and it'll help you out. First, number one is, what kind of boots should I buy? Well, you should get yourself a pair of Western boots. You don't have to buy them. You can get them from Grandpa or your dad, or maybe you have a pair around. A lot of you folks have already been riders and you maybe already have a pair of boots. But you're going to want a good pair of boots that will help you have good stability on the ground but give you some protection. But also that a Western style boot is made for riding. And they have a purpose. They have a slick sole so your foot can come out of the stirrup easily. They have a heel to keep your foot from sliding through the stirrup and getting you hung up. And they have a pointy toe to keep you so you can reach down and find your stirrup and pick it up easily when you're mounting your horse. So this, like the Western style hat and the wild rag, most all cowboy gear has a purpose. So get yourself a good pair of boots. The second question that's been coming in quite often is, where do I get boots? I've never bought a pair of boots before. I don't even own a pair of boots. Well, that's a good question, and I'll tell you what, first thing is, maybe you ask friends and family. Well, a lot of your grandpas, a lot of your dads, a lot of folks that you know probably have a pair of boots that you could borrow for the weekend. They don't have to be great. I'd suggest that a little bit too big is way better than a little bit too small. Or you can take a little trip around with your mom or your dad or a bunch of your friends and go to a whole bunch of Goodwills and look there, because that's a nice place to find a really good pair of boots. If you look at enough of them, you're going to find what you need. If that doesn't fit your needs, then there are a number of stores in our area that can supply you a pair of boots. There's 3 of them that I'll tell you about. Number 1 is Wilco, locally owned co-op, and owned by farmers all over our area. And they have boots, and they've got a good selection of them, and you could go in there and get some help from their clothing department people, and you could find a pair of boots that would work great for you for this trip. They don't necessarily have to be pull-on boots. They can be lace-up boots, they can be short boots or tall boots, whatever like that. And go see them. The other company that you might go see, also locally owned, is Coastal Farm Supply. And there's a number of those stores, maybe not quite as many as there are Wilco, but there's enough of those around. You should be able to get yourself to one and do a little shopping there. They got a great clothing department. And then the other one is, we do have a Boot Barn in the area. It's out on 84, heading up the gorge, and you show up in there, tell them Melissa sent you, one of their brand new, really cool employees, and tell them that you need a little bit of help getting a pair of boots. And cool thing is, I think Alyssa's going to be out helping us for most of ranch camp, but she also works at Boot Barn. So go out there and hunt for a good pair of boots, and we'll look forward to seeing what you got when you get out here. Question number 3 is just about clothing, and what should I bring for clothes? Well, that's a good question, because they're a little bit different than your typical scout outing. Number 1 is, you don't got to bring your scout uniform at all. There's never a time when we're going to dress up like scouts. We are going to dress up like cowboys, so we're going to want you to make sure that you bring a pair of jeans, something that you feel comfortable in, riding in all day, working in all day, being out and doing stuff in. And when I say comfortable, I probably aren't talking about them skinny jeans that some of them guys wear nowadays. You're going to want a pair of jeans that are loose enough that you can bend your knee to get on your horse, that are secure enough around the waist that they're not falling down all the time, so they're holding you up. You've probably seen some of them fellas with them pants, that kind of like segue down. That ain't what you want to bring. What you want is a pair of pants that have plenty of room for you to move, but not so much room that you're always trying to keep them up. And with a good pair of pants, you should have a belt. A belt will help you keep your pants up when you're leading a horse. Your hands are full. You can't be like hoisting them up all the time. So get yourself a belt. You can find one around, bring that with you. But what about shirts? Well, long sleeve shirts give you protection, not just from blackberries and trees and branches and this and that, but from the sun. We are going to be outside just about from daylight till dark. We got a schedule plan for you that is just about like anybody that works on a real working ranch. And you're going to want to, you're going to want to get a little sun, but you're going to want to cover your arms up sometimes when we're riding and this and that, so you can have the protection that the shirt yields you. In the mornings, if we're getting up early, I'll tell you what, it's going to be cold. Today turned out to be a pretty nice day, and it might be like one of our warmest days so far, but this morning when I went out, I had a sweater on and I had a vest on over top of that, and it was chilly. It was early, about as early as you guys will be getting out there, 5:30 or so, right early enough where we're feeding horses and getting our day going. So make sure that you're bringing layers, right? You guys have learned that in Scouts. Have a long sleeve shirt, have a shirt that can go over it, have a t-shirt or two that you can bring, but also make sure that you're bringing a good warm coat, because we're going to be out not just early in the morning, but we're going to be out late in the evening too, and it can get chilly out here on the ranch. So bring yourself a coat. Now I don't mean your best ski coat. I mean bring yourself an old coat that you can throw down on the ground and sit on if you want to, or you can get horsehair all over it, or it can just be out and get used. A good work coat, Carhartt coat, heavy coat, wool coat, and you can get those at Goodwill too, and you can't go wrong there at old GW finding the best gear possible. So get yourself the clothing that works best, and it'll make your time out here at the ranch that much more pleasurable. So a lot of times people ask us what to bring and what not to bring, and I think the packet does a pretty good job explaining that. But folks are asking about their cell phones. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a lifetime scout. I've been a scout all my life. And I totally buy into the Scout motto, be prepared. And I think that your cell phone is one of the best survival tools that you can pack with you whenever you're on an outing. But And it makes for a great camera, so you can take pictures of your horses and that kind of thing. But the thing about cell phones is we don't got much cell service out here, and there ain't no Wi-Fi. So don't think you're going to be contacting anybody throughout the week on that. But if you use it for your camera, bring it on out with you. However, I got to tell you this too, unless you bring some way to charge it, there ain't nothing out all the way out here to charge your phone with. We got a few plug-ins here and there, but they're very limited, and they'll be being used for other things. So yes on your cell phone, yes on pictures, no on calling, no on Wi-Fi. Just the way it is. So here's two food-related questions, and they're both good ones. Somebody said, what about snacks? Do I need to bring snacks? Well, I'll tell you what, I hope you do, because I love trading for snacks. And I've been more than willing to trade for some gummy worms and maybe some gummy bears, jerky, that kind of thing. But we're going to provide all the food you can eat, and we're going to have a very well-stocked trading post up here for you this trip. Ranch Camp has a whole town hooked to it, and we're going to ride up into town every night. Every day, maybe a couple of times even, and you're going to be able to go into the trading post and buy some of those snacks that you might want. But another question folks have asked is, what if I have food restrictions, dietary needs, this and that? Well, what we try to do isn't change our menu around to meet anybody's needs, but we serve such a large variety of different things that folks can't hardly find something that works for them every meal. So what I like to brag about is the fact that most all of our meals are between 7 and 8 course meals, and I'm like totally serious about that. I know most people when they're in camp or at a ranch, they're like eating like a big pot of beans and maybe a slab of bread and they drink water. That's about it. But that ain't the way it is for us. We like to celebrate meals. So what we do is a number of different things. We have a main course every night that comes out of Dutch ovens, big old pot of something. We also have, here's something that's totally cool. I'll just let this out of the bag right now, but we have beans every meal. Now I don't mean every meal like every dinner meal. I mean every breakfast meal, every lunch meal, and every dinner meal. There are beans if you want them, and I'd suggest you eat them, because I mean, there ain't nothing better than beans to a cowboy. So there's beans every meal. There's also hot vegetables and cold vegetables, salad. We usually have 2 or 3 different kinds of salad. So maybe a macaroni salad or maybe a coleslaw salad. But we also have green salad. Hot vegetable, cold vegetable, bread of some sort is out there. And then the other thing is we have dessert. Now, if you count up all those things, you're going to find that's probably a 7 or an 8 course meal every night for dinner. Breakfast are simple and cowboy. Biscuits and gravy, eggs, breakfast burritos, oatmeal, and things like that. And then our lunches are always out on the trail lunches, so that we don't have to come back for that. And what you'll have is you'll have a sandwich or 2, fruit, chips, cookies, and a little bit of candy, and something to keep you sweet throughout the day. So that's what the meals look like. If you have dietary needs that relate to health, then you need to let us know. And what I'm talking about is maybe your peanut allergy, gluten-free allergy, lactose intolerant, an allergy to any specific thing that causes you to have anaphylactic shock, those types of things we want to know about so we can keep you safe. Other than that, we provide so much stuff that you just pick what you want. If you don't want something, you don't take it. And it's all good. And I'll tell you what, we're going to work you hard enough that you're going to be hungry, and everything takes better after a long day of riding and roping and working on the trail. So another question that I want to clarify for you is the fact that we are going on an overnighter. Yeah, that's right. We're going to go on out, sleep under the stars, and enjoy being out with our horses. And there's nothing cooler. But folks have asked is, what do I got to bring for the overnighter? Well, I'll tell you this. Cowboys ride light. That's right. The less gear you bring, the faster you can move. So you aren't going to need very much. Mostly the same gear that you bring to camp, you can scurry around and grab to take on the overnighter. You're going to want to have some things that are on that list though. You're going to want to make sure you got a good sleeping bag, that you got a ground cloth. If you need it or want it, you got to make sure you bring your tent with you. The other thing you might have with you is a set of saddlebags to carry some of your gear that you might want to take on your horse. Now we're going to carry your bag with you and your sleeping bag, bedroll, and some of that kind of thing. But you still might want to bring some stuff on your horse. But we don't want you to necessarily have to go out and buy an expensive set of saddlebags just for some really long trail rides and an overnighter. We want you to be able to do that without spending a ton more money. So here's some ideas for you. You might just get a ditty bag, a bag that you can put your gear in, a small bag that you can put chapstick, first aid kit, 10 essentials, some of those kind of things. A fanny pack might work if you've ever worn one of those, or a small backpack that you can tie on the back of your saddle. If you have access to a set of saddlebags, make sure they're small ones. If they're too big, they're hard on your horse, and you don't want to do that to your horse. Maybe that, and you don't got to carry a ton of gear with you on the trail ride. We're going to have with us all of our first aid gear and emergency gear and trail gear and that kind of thing in a pack horse, and you're just bringing the stuff to make your trail ride a little bit more pleasant and to make sure that you got the 10 essentials that you expect to have when you go out into the woods. So people have asked about two other important things that you got to have with you, and that's a knife and a water bottle. And I'll tell you what, that's two of the most important of your 10 essentials. So you make sure you have them with you. You're going to need a knife, either a good pocket knife or a little sheath knife or belt knife. You're going to need that as a tool all the time. You're going to need it when you're feeding in the morning, if you're working on a leather project or whatever. So make sure you bring a good knife with you. But the other thing you're going to want, and a pocket knife or a sheath knife that has a 4-inch blade or less. Totally acceptable to have out here at the ranch. The other thing you're going to want to have is a water bottle. Now you don't have to go out and buy yourself a Bota bag or big like a canteen or anything like that. You just go down to the grocery store and wander through the soda pop section and find yourself a really nice soda bottle that'll work for you. It ought to have a decent sized neck. It ought to have something to tie a string to so you can hang it off your saddle horn, and it ought to be plastic because glass don't always fare so well. Many of you might think, well, I got the perfect water bottle. It's a big old Nalgene bottle with a big old lid. You've seen those big lids about like that. You pull them off. Well, that might work for some folks, but it don't work for, well, I can guarantee it probably don't work for riders or runners. Have you ever run and tried to take a drink out of one of them? You'll drown yourself is what'll happen. And it's no easier to do that when you're on your horse, riding on down the trail, trying to drink out of your water bottle, slosh a bunch of Nalgene right up into your mouth. Holy cows, not a good way to go. So bring a water bottle that works while you're on the trail and while you're on your horse. Folks, we're winding down and getting the last of the questions answered, but some of them are just as important as the first ones. One question is what do I need for a hat? Because it's important that you have a hat when you're out in the woods and when you're out working on the ranch. And we like these big flat brim hats, nice hat like that. Well, what I'm going to tell you is you're getting a hat. We're going to give you one. We're going to let you pick it out. You're going to be able to shape it, make it the way you want it. It's going to have your own personality hook to it. You might find a feather while we're out on the trail. You can stick it in there. You can shape it, get it right. And throughout the week, you're going to be able to wear that hat whenever you're not on your horse. If you're on your horse, you're going to have your helmet on. And they're all ASTM certified riding helmets. And if you have your very own, you can bring it and use that. But if you don't have them, we got brand new ones that just came in, and you're going to get a brand spanking new helmet to wear for ranch camp. The other thing about that is some folks have asked about how much money do I need to bring for the trading post? Well, that's a great question, because unlike horse track, on this trip we're going to have a full, very well supplied trading post for you. I mean everything from soda pop to candy to cowboy gear to clothing, even including custom belt buckles made just for ranch camp. And so probably the most expensive thing that you would want to buy out here for ranch camp is a custom belt buckle. It'll say ranch camp on it, has the date on it. It's going to be totally cool. That thing's going to be about $65. Sounds like a lot, but it's all silver and totally cool, custom. The other about the cheapest thing you'll want to buy is maybe a Laffy Taffy or a Jolly Rancher or some of that candy that we love having out here. So, and there's going to be everything in between. So bring what you typically bring to camp, but if you want one of those fancy belt buckles, plan on that. And we're giving you your first hat. So, all right, folks, just a few last questions to answer for you. One of them is this. Do I need a mask out here? Well, of course you do. We've only been living with them for the last year and a half now. Most of the time we are going to be out at the barn, outside, socially distanced, riding our horses. There is no time when you're riding where you're going to be within 6 feet of each other. So it's perfect for being COVID safe. And we're going to be out in the great outdoors where the air is fresh, and it's going to be refreshing for many of us just to be able to be out like that. But there are some times when we're going to be inside, like we're going to be eating in the big dining room. And so you're going to want to bring a mask. And when we can't be socially distanced, and when we have to be inside, you're going to have to mask up just like you have been. There's one other thing that you got to make sure you bring. And if we were getting ready to go on horse trek, I'd tell your friends, your family, I'd tell everybody this. I'd say, make sure you bring your medical. Now listen, you can forget all your gear. You can not bring a sleeping bag, no pocket knife. You can leave all your snacks at home. You can just not bring nothing. And your parents can still leave you here and go home and get that stuff for you if you bring your medical. But if you forget your medical, you can't even get left here. You got to go home, get your medical, and come back. So make sure your medical is on the top of your list, on the top of your pack. Bring that thing out here with you. Make sure you bring it. Don't forget it. You got to have it, like on all scout outings. Bring your medical. Another thing about this stuff to know is many folks have asked about, can my parents come? Is there visitation time and this and that? Well, because we're going to be so busy and so riding and out on the trail and on our overnighters, as well as because of the restrictions with COVID, we don't offer any during the week visitation days where friends and family could come out. But we do offer the pickup time, and pickup from this event will be June 26th. You can show up out here at 1 o'clock, which from 1 till 5 o'clock, we're going to be doing a show-deo, and we're going to let the participants show their horsemanship skills off. So it's going to be a fun afternoon of meeting the horses and getting to know some of the things that your participants have been working on and seeing some of the cool things at Butte Creek. And at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a celebration barbecue. So you're going to want to be here for that. And I think we have a little campfire right after that. And you'll be, I'm sure, good to go mid-evening that night to get on home and as the end of a great week out here at Butte Creek Scout Ranch on Ranch Camp. Hey, if you have any questions between now and then, there's 2 folks that you could call. You could contact Jeanette Leach, who you've probably already worked with, just to get signed up for an event with us, whether it be Ranch Camp or sign-ups for Horse Trek for next year. You'll usually talk to her. You can reach her at 503-226-3423. Or you can call the ranch directly. Leave us a message, and when I get a time, and that's somewhat limited right now, I'm going to be out at the barn a lot, getting the horses shoed, getting all the tack ready, getting things ready for when you get here. But I will check my messages, and I will return those phone calls. So if you have any other questions between now and then, call 503-226-3423. Now, one last thing, and then I'll just wait and see you when you get here. And that's this. If you have any friends or cousins or brothers and sisters that might want to participate in this, you should get them signed up, because it's going to be nothing but cool, and it's going to give you guys an opportunity to possibly be wranglers out here for the year-round program that we offer. And you're going to get a ton of riding in. It's going to be a great bang for the buck, and it is going to be nothing but cool. I just can't wait. Can't wait to see you out here on the trail. Make it a great day. Happy trails.